Good to be
Another,
back.
it's just great to be back, Heather. Another Aquarius episode for another week in Aquarius.
Yes.
Uh, I'm loving this time. Heather, I've also been on sort of a little like a space kick.
Boo.
I've just been having fun with like space. Um and the reality is that I actually watched True Detective season 1 for the
Oh,
first
yeah.
time ever in my life. I've never watched it. I've always known it's like the thing to watch, and they just put out a new True Detective season. So I was like, I kind of want to watch
Oh.
the first season just to sort of like get a little taste. Ended up devouring it in 2 days, like 3 days. It was so good. Matthew McConaughey is so good in it.
Yeah.
I love him, I think. Anyways,
He's funny.
um,
What's
he's
his
he's
sign? Because he's like
I just
wacky.
looked it up. He's a Scorpio. He's a
Oh,
Scorpio,
makes sense. He's
Virgo
so
moon,
okay. Yeah.
Gemini rising.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
kind of
remember
funny.
when he was doing press. Sorry, not he was
No,
doing press
please.
for his book that came out recently on Watch What Happens Live, and like they were reading some of it, and I was like, this dude is like giving Sagittarius philosophical or something in a way I didn't expect, but Scorpio actually makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And he has
He's
that
wacky.
draw and that sort of
That
like
right.
sexy, like, yeah,
God, he is so hot. But
in a
yeah,
weird, yeah.
I know it's weird, right? But with that, and then that's why this season is set in Louisiana. So it really the character works for him, the whole thing works for him. But then it made me my whole point to that was that it made me want to watch Interstellar because I also just like haven't
Oh,
seen
yeah.
it in a while. And I was like in the mood for something a little trippy, a little
Yeah.
fun, a little out there. It was free on Prime. I watched it.
Nice.
Um, and then loved it again, cried, had have some critiques. I think the last time I saw it was like truly in theaters when it came out. Anyways, but then Apollo 13. Then I was getting, now I'm getting the advertisements. Now they're like, this girl loves space. She loves NASA. She's smart.
Apollo 13, I think I love that movie. That's the one with
Sure is.
Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm. The one
Yeah,
and
that
only.
movie is fucking amazing.
And Kevin Bacon. And oh no, I forget his name. He's in like everything. He recently passed away. He's in
Oh
Twister.
shit.
Oh, that's going to drive me nuts. Alex
Um,
Nightingale will tell us. But yes, Apollo 13, based on the true story, where
right.
it was
They go to
it's the
space.
like the biggest successful failure, I think is what they call it. Um, or because the whole point was Apollo 13 was going to go to the moon. It was going to be like the third one to do it, but then they didn't even get that far because of an issue with some engine stuff. I
Right,
forget.
right.
Then they have to like detach from their
Yeah. Oh,
spacecraft.
it's so
And this was
intense.
all right. And it was all real. Like this really happened. And then they had to basically manually fly in. They had, in order to detach, to like save themselves as best they could, they had to detach from their spacecraft. I'm not
Right.
explaining any of this well. They have to like manually get into a specific orbit so that they could come back, and they have to like
Yeah.
hit Earth's atmosphere at a certain speed and
Ugh.
velocity, and like, so that they don't just like ricochet off the atmosphere. And also there was the whole issue of the like heat protectant shield, or the heat shield or whatever, could burn up in the middle of them
Right,
coming through the
right.
atmosphere. And
God, it is like,
it's a
uh,
crazy, crazy story. And the movie is so fun. If you haven't seen it, folks, I highly recommend it. But again, my whole point to this was they right before they like disconnect, the ship they come on, or like it was called the Aquarius. It was my whole point to this.
right.
And they like when they're detaching from the Aquarius, I think they're even like, thank you, Aquarius, for your service. And it just made me think a lot too about the connection of like the symbolism of like the Aquarius, like again, the whole destination, right, was the moon, where we've
Yeah.
already been to. But then it's like that wasn't their destination. Like the symbolism of like but it was a huge, it's still to this day one of NASA's like, it's still a huge success story, because
Right.
the way that they successfully came home is with
Yeah.
this, it's like the failure was no longer the worry. It was like getting
Right.
those three boys home, those three men home. And the symbolism too of like The camaraderie that had to happen, the
Yeah, the
community on
innovation
board.
and the
Yes,
like
the
quick on your
teamwork.
feet creativity, teamwork. Yeah.
I'm getting teary-eyed.
Oh,
It was just so funny, and as I was watching that, I was just like, "Ah!" And it was like I was just having a lot of fun with it, and the symbolism like behind that, and how, yeah, again, it's like every great story, every great movie. Not to say that the final destination of it all isn't worth it and isn't still important in the end, but like when you're watching even a movie like that, or when you're even experiencing an experience like that, like let's say like a road trip with friends, I feel like, yeah, like we take a road trip out to Joshua Tree for the weekend, right? But my big core memories are maybe probably a lot of moments that happened on the road trip itself
it's the
with
climb.
like the right. I was gonna say the Miley Cyrus, like it's not always about getting to the top, it's about the in between. And
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
so much of life sometimes, we as humans, right? Me specifically as a Pisces, can sometimes do this big scale out of like
Yeah.
what you want for the end of life, like how you want to, the things you want to have accomplished on, like, when you're on your deathbed maybe, but it's like that's not the living part, right? Or like
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
the mundane little in between
Mhm.
intricacies that make it all matter too. I don't
Yeah.
know, I just thought that was a
No,
really beautiful
totally.
thing that like,
I love that movie. I love that you're bringing this up. I love that it was called Aquarius.
I know that the space, yeah, that's what it, because I was like, I thought it was Apollo. I
Right,
think
yeah.
the mission. Oh no. I
That's
just
funny.
watched the movie too. Is the mission, I think the mission is named the Apollo, but the ship they were like the spacecraft, the plane,
Makes
whatever,
sense.
is the
Yeah.
Aquarius. I could
That
totally
would
be
make
wrong.
sense.
Alex will let
Um,
us know.
yeah, going off of what you were just saying about like it's the climb, enjoying like the moments even. Yeah, humans need crisis in order to feel satisfied at the end of the day also. But
Mm.
did I tell you that I'm reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle? You've read that, right? I'm reading it now.
Oh, yes,
Um
yes, yes. The power of now.
and I'm reading it's my grandpa's book. And he just passed away like 2 years ago. He's a Scorpio, and I was always so impressed by his library, and he had lots
Mm.
of books on space and like extraterrestrial shit and past lives and soul stuff. And
That's fun.
so this is his book, and he like highlighted so much of it, and it feels like I'm like reading it with him, and it's really
Oh,
cool.
Heather.
But yeah, also trying to practice the there are no problems in the present moment, you know?
Damn right.
It's uh then I'm
Me
also
on the
like,
subway.
yeah.
Yeah. But then you're also like,
In the present
mm.
moment, my bank account isn't what I want it to be, but
Or I'm like, clearly Eckhart Tolle never had to deal with PMS cramps, because
right.
that'll take you right out of a meditation, I'll tell you what. No, but you're so right. Just the basic, the reason I do love The Power of Now. Um, Another thing I do highly recommend that book for a lot of readers is just yes, the idea of, it's like a crazy thing to think that we have to be taught this, I think.
I know.
um like it almost, it does, it's like upsetting to me on so many levels that we as human beings have to be taught how to be present. And I'm not trying to shit on humanity with that one. Like, as look at how far we've come in society, look at how far we've developed. We've almost like, the generation being born now, you are almost taught that like if something is boring, it's wrong. And I think that
Yeah,
is because
we're
we're in a
so
world,
overstimulated. I
we
mean,
are
there's
so overstimulated. Like, computers are attached to our hips and our fingertips when we need them. Like the internet, like this was something we talked a little bit about. I'm not trying to keep sounding preachy
I
on
know.
the podcast. Like I'm worried we sound like a couple of boomers, but I think this is so much of what our generations are really talking about and we're really seeing in real time. Why are we having to be taught how to be present? It's because
Mhm.
like even in the present moment, we have a distraction or we have something else that's not quite keeping us present. It's like we almost, everything has been developed to keep us not present.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's like necessarily the consumer's fault. It's like the way, our society has developed and the way it's working now. And I love that book because it is such the like truly bare basics of like where do you start in order to be like truly present and in the moment,
Mhm.
like the stripping it down of like who am I and where am I right now, what am
Yeah.
I doing, like
Yeah.
what, like just even the basics of like getting into your head in a present place, not just to
Yeah, being
think of.
conscious of what you're
Yeah,
doing, and yeah.
I apply it all the time ever since reading that book. It's
Yeah,
really helped
no,
me like to ground in the moment, and like
totally.
then that opens me up to like, okay, now I'm gonna breathe deep, and now I'm
Yeah.
gonna, like, and I started doing that on the train a lot after I read it, just to
Yeah.
sort of bring me, because the train is someplace where I can, you're just really trying to tune out until you get home.
Yeah.
But like, I make a point too, if my train's ever going over like anything specifically, one of the main routes that I take, I get a great shot of like the financial district of New York City and
Ah,
all that. And I always try to make a point to like pause my music or put my book
and
down or
yeah.
something, and just like have a Eckhart Tolle Power of Now moment.
I love that. Oh.
If you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
that
someone vomits next to me and I got to put the headphones back on. Just kidding.
right. Oh my God. Yeah, it's really hard on the subway. Jeez.
It's hard to be present
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's
it is. It
there's so much
is.
commotion all the time.
There
But
really
that's
is.
amazing, Heather. I'm glad you're reading that. Listeners,
And Eckhart Tolle is an
go please.
Aquarius and
Ah,
uh Taurus moon like me actually. But I
wow.
regardless, and he is an extremist. He's like, I would never have more than one glass of alcohol ever. Like that would be make me I'm like, all right. But yeah, I feel like that is gonna be such a Pluto and Aquarius theme, is like coming back to
hmm
like presence and consciousness. And I just went to the Philosophical Research Society for the first time. I just learned that that exists in Los Feliz. And
Okay.
I went to this like book event for it was actually a book on like the 12 steps, like Alcoholics Anonymous, but it was like about the archetypes and like Carl Jung and all this shit that I'm really into. Like they made it spiritual. And I found out that this place, it was a free event, and this place does astrology workshops and like tarot events and like all this shit, and it's 10 minutes from my apartment. But anyway, there was a whole conversation in the Q&A about psychedelics and about mushrooms in particular, and like the healing effects, and how now I'm really tangenting. But well, okay, my point is that since I've gotten into psychedelics, as Jupiter has been transiting my ninth house, um I feel like I've understood being present in a whole new way, like really what it means to be present, and how that
hmm
like really is. Anyway, now I feel like I'm preaching, but I
No,
love psychedelics, and I want to cover Chelsea Handler when we get to Pisces.
yeah. And like her ayahuasca trip.
Yes, I love her so much.
I loved that episode.
Mhm.
She is so, I love her.
Yeah,
She's like, oh, she's a Pisces that I'm like very proud is a Pisces.
I think she has
Um,
Aquarius rising and
she's
Virgo.
just whatever it is, it works.
Yeah, she's
It
so
works.
Pisces. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, which is funny because I do think she can come across, she's got almost like that hard exterior, but like
Oh,
the
but
more I
she's so
watch,
gooey. Yeah,
yes, she's a big old sweetie
and
underneath
she
it all.
cares about
Oh
humanity.
yeah, she does. And I love that she brought that more to like her her specials.
Yeah.
Or like her net, like yes.
Yes.
When she was off like regular cable. But
Such a fan.
I know, and that was my favorite late night show too. Sorry, digressing
Right.
here.
Yeah.
But she was always like my favorite. She was like
Hmm.
one of the only women of late night.
Yeah.
Still, right? Do we have any fucking
Honestly,
women on late night?
there was that one, I did paid audience for someone who I thought was kind of cringy,
Oh,
but
Samantha Bee.
was that her name?
Was she late night?
I don't think that was her.
I don't think she was late
She's
night.
yeah. No, there's
Anyways,
been very few women.
yeah. And that was like who I watched growing up was Chelsea.
Yeah. Uh,
Any whoozy. But god damn it. What was I just about to say? Oh yeah, I do. I think it's like I'm not trying to say that you always need a substance
No,
to
you
help you get
don't. But
present. And
if
I know that's not what you're saying either, Heather.
yeah,
I didn't mean it to sound like that. But I find it crazy that like I think it says more about where we are at it, as a society, that that is such a helpful tool to
yes.
like a natural nature,
Mhm.
comes from the earth, old fashioned fucking remedy, and how we're studying the effects of that. And like PTSD patients use it now, and how so much more people are like using it for bigger healings,
Yeah.
is really, really interesting.
No,
Uh,
it says a lot. You're right. It says a lot about how overstimulated we've become that
right.
like it's it requires a substance which yeah, is natural sometimes to just like understand what it means to be truly present. I don't know. I
And
think
like
it's
I
magical.
right. And I totally know we're not here to condone. Do
Yeah,
what you
under
want
the
on
right
your own time.
circumstances, do what you I'm not
Yeah,
pushing,
if
but
psychedelics aren't your thing, oh my god, don't worry about it. But I will just say from my personal experience, and I know that Heather would probably also have some anecdotes from her own personal experience. But as someone who did not touch psychedelics until I had really done a lot of research into them, because I
mhm.
think I was a very afraid of them, because I had friends in high school who like ate mushrooms at a party, and it's like, yeah, that's probably not how you want to do it your first time. Like,
Yeah,
just
no.
understanding the like why that time wasn't super great for them, or and especially
Totally.
being that young. I was 25 and it was my literal birthday. And I that was like what I did. And I had a very good friend of mine trip sit me, so to
Mhm.
speak. And it was just like we went to the park for the day. I was in a very safe environment, and like was always aware that I was like on mushrooms. But that trip was still, again, of course, if that's not your thing, by no means. But it is just it's interesting that mushrooms have been around.
Oh,
That's like, they've
yeah,
been here. They've just
a
been
long ass
around,
time.
and it's a beautiful some I love that we are studying them more and their benefits, and people are just getting smarter about how they take them. And it's not just something I think to like party with. I rarely do it was very nice that I feel like I did it in a very sacred experience.
Mhm.
Um and how you do it is, again, your own business, and again, not doing it is also your own business. I
You
just
could
more mean
also do
like,
it with therapists. I mean, that's becoming like
right. Like, I
so
just
common
love
now.
the overall study,
Yeah,
right? And we're in
it feels
this,
very
age of
Aquarius to
Aquarius,
me.
right?
Yeah.
That it's like, this doesn't, oh, yes, put aside what you've maybe like heard and how you grew up understanding
Yeah.
psychedelics, like, but the research behind it and how many people are taking them for like positive means is really, it's just interesting. It's very interesting. It's very kind of like special to see. Um,
Yeah. There's
yeah.
this what's her title? Like she's like a I don't want to say life coach. She's a self-help like figure that's
Mm,
popular now very recently. Her name's Mel Robbins, and I don't totally follow her, but I listen to her on the Diary of a CEO podcast that I'm into. And
mm,
I'm pretty sure she was like having a crisis with her husband and like her family and was yeah, like in a mental health crisis, and she did MDMA with her therapist, and it like
mm.
totally changed her relationship with her husband, and I'm pretty sure it was like the impetus to like I don't know, changing her whole lifestyle and the way she treats her family and her relationships, and makes sense to me. But yeah, again, I'm not here to push, but I am
Right. But
passionate about this topic.
no, and I love the studying that we're doing into it too, because I just, yes, like I feel like, it can be a really taboo thing sometimes to maybe talk about psychedelics in that way, especially in a healing manner, because we're from a specifically in this country, we are from such a place that's just like feeling weird. Take this pill. Take this like man-made,
Yeah.
chemically induced substance that we've created in a lab. And I do think there's a lot to be said for how little we maybe do know about so much of what the planet already gives us,
Already, yeah, that's natural of the earth. Totally. Bob
that people
Marley.
can't make a ton of money off of. Yeah.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So I do think it's really interesting that people sometimes don't bat an eye to like a psychiatrist maybe giving them, you know,
Yeah, this pill.
medication, but because that in our, and again, I'm not trying to shit on humanity. I think
Yeah, yeah.
we forget what has become so normalized.
Yes.
Things in our society have become so normalized that we are so like
Programmed in the,
unwired
yeah.
for, yeah, we're like deprogrammed from our own humanity. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I am also someone who like has also benefited in my lifetime of like prescription medications. So I'm not trying to shit on that either.
Yeah,
However, I
yeah.
do just love that we as a society are moving forward more with like trying to understand what the planet has already given us and a little more research on that, and the more transparency behind pharmacies and pharmaceuticals and how much fucking money is
It
being
makes me
fucking made.
sick. It
The
makes me
transparency of
so
that
sick.
has been huge. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it's very
transparency of a
Aquarius.
lot of fucking things is huge. And I do feel like that's so Aquarius. And again, as we talked about, Heather, this Aquarius time, oh, I'm going to circle it back. We'll circle it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
But during this Aquarius time, right, there's kind of feels like there's maybe this like fork in the road upon us, or like
Yeah.
we're approaching this, what is to be this fork. I am so maybe too optimistic. Maybe I believe too much in humanity, but from so much of what I'm already seeing from a lot of our generation, and even not our generation, just like humanity across the board, it does just feel like more and more people are aching for that. And I do think like aching for more humanity comes with joining forces as humans, not thinking of the individual first, but what the individual can do for the bigger whole. And I just am seeing, I think I really believe in us. I really believe in in the human species
And with
as
that
much
being
as I
said,
we're
astrology being such evidence that that is the way to go. Like,
right to
yeah, we
that we
are,
should trust that. We should trust
yeah,
each
the
other.
larger whole. Yeah.
Yeah. Not this feeling of like fuck the larger. It's about me and mine. Like
Hmm.
respectfully, I get that. I do like understand that process, but I think right now this is a pivotal time to come the fuck together. And already it feels like we are. And so many there's an energy of like want there to do so.
Hmm.
And again, it's just really interesting, this like this sort of us entering this Aquarius communal beautiful energy at the same time, as we just advance in society and day by day, the highest peak of technology as we've ever known it and seen it so far on our planet. There's got to be like what a beautiful dance
Which is
that could
also
make.
very Aquarius. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've talked about that enough on the pod. I mean, I've talked about like how AI, but like the they say like Aquarius also rules technology and
Mm,
technological advancement and things like going to space and shit like that. And have I
yeah.
talked about how sorry, I'm
No,
really
please.
I'm so excited for self-driving cars. I've probably mentioned this before.
Aren't they already here?
Yes, but I watched this one video in particular that like this company is trying to make these self-driving cars that are like it could potentially be like everyone's main form of transportation. Like we don't have to own cars anymore. It doesn't have to be a status symbol anymore because we're all basically like you have like an app where you like order the car and then you carpool with people, like kind of like taking the subway.
It'd be like
Like,
public transportation, but for cities that like, yeah, don't have public transportation.
yeah, yeah, you like order the car and you don't have to drive it and there could be fewer like parking spaces and I don't know. It's cool.
That's wild. That's wild. There is. I just do like again, I feel like the language, and again, I'm really interested to know sort of where this language started and where it came from, because every movie we've made, iRobot, when I think about self-driving cars, I really think about iRobot, besides everything else about the movie. But like I remember there's like a scene where she's like, "What are you doing? You can't drive manually at these speeds." And it's Will Smith, and so he's like, "The fuck I can't."
Right.
Fuck these robots. But I just like it feels like the warning of that has always been wrong and no. And if robots come, they're going to harm us or they're going to take our jobs. And the language has never been like, thank God the fucking robots are here to take our
Yeah,
fucking jobs
I know.
so we can fucking relax. Like this idea
Yeah.
that if robots and technology at its peak, the joke to me is always that society would still be operating the exact same way instead of allowing this like to work for us. It's like,
Yeah.
we have the means to just change what that means
Yeah.
now. Like, let them fucking take the robotic mundane jobs that people already feel like robots at. Like,
Yeah.
let the work week loosen up because we've got
Mhm.
robots now. I
Mhm.
don't know. I
Mhm.
do. It's funny that I feel like the dialogue has always been to fear this stage. And I'm kind of also like, whose dialogue was that? Like, was it really the scientist? Was it really the astrologers and the people who are actually looking out for humanity? Or was it maybe language made by our own government or like the bad guys maybe not always looking out for humanity
I
and
know. That's really what I'm worried about is just that I don't trust authority and
so much messaging we're
yeah.
realizing we can't. Yeah, the transparency that is being applied because of technology and where we are at in peak technology in our society, again, like every single day is just the day that we are the most peak in this, right? And the transparency that's come from this and the knowledge that's come from this still, um it's exponential.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just find, yeah, again, there's always this fear, right, of like we can't let them be too smart, we can't let the masses be smarter than the ones in control. I'm really starting to like wonder now, like, where did this language come from? That technology was something to fear, not something to be excited about, because it means we get to be more human. I just think it's a beautiful, interesting thing. And I
Yeah,
think
no,
it's taken
I'm
me a while to
optimistic.
understand,
I'm
yeah, that the two
optimistic.
can exist in a positive way.
Yeah.
That because the messaging I think has always been like, no, they can't. And I'm like, but we can also just make it so we can.
Yeah. It should
That's my
benefit
Pisces.
us. I mean,
Hey,
we created it. It should help us. Yeah.
let's let it work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're gonna cancel us, Heather.
No, don't.
They know that we've got the big ideas. NASA will be calling soon.
Oh God, they're gonna have a lot of beef.
Get us while you can, folks. NASA's gonna snatch us up and have us work on the ranks. And I don't think I did this earlier at all. I don't think we did this earlier at all, Heather. But again, folks, we're about to move into the chart here. But I've been Miranda Lenski, and this is Heather Cunningham. You just wave.
Yeah. Hi.
Oh, it's an Aquarius time. It really is. I'm very excited to be here. Heather, shall we get on with it?
Let's.
Oh, Heather, I must say, I do love this next birth chart we have.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I
And
knew the music more, but I
I can help you
she has
there.
my same three signs. I love.
Your literal same three?
Not in that order. Um, but yeah, me, Danielle Ferry, and Megan. Oh, I'm revealing Megan Thee Stallion. Uh, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus. But she's an Aquarius Sun, Leo Moon, Taurus rising, and I have Taurus Moon, Leo rising. So that's flipped.
I
But
see.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's wild. Yeah,
yeah.
I whew, love Megan the
She's
Stallion.
triple fixed. She's gonna graduate from college even after making it big as a rapper. She's gonna continue, finish that
I
shit.
think she I think she did.
Right.
Like
That's what I
she
mean.
you're like I hear you. I'm caught up. I'm
Yeah,
caught up.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
Like,
like, Heather, she did. She graduated.
because Aquarius, Taurus, and Leo, like, yeah, triple
I get what you're
fixed,
saying.
but follow through.
Yeah, yeah. And like it's okay, so yes, Megan the
Yeah.
Stallion, Aquarius of our dreams, Aquarius sun of our dreams, but also one of my I remember watching like she has like a YouTube video that I'm pretty sure like she put out all on her own and it's just like a freestyle, I want to say. Um
I think I read
and
that. Yeah.
like she's just like in a neighborhood in Houston where she's from and like filmed it on her like had a friend film her and just like looks hot and is crushing it. But she put out, like, she's been doing this. Like, she, was her first fan and is very, I remember watching interviews of her and she talked about that. Like, I was my first fan first. And her mom, I guess, also
Was a
was a
rapper.
rapper. Yeah. And Megan even talks about how she had to kind of have, there was like a tipping point of where she decided like a lot of her material and a lot of her songs were going to be the more vulgar route. And
Right.
I also like, for what it's worth, and when we talk about rap, that is a very male dominated career and genre. And I do think there is, like, respectfully, if we're hearing a country song talking about wet ass pussy, for example, like, yeah, that's not gonna maybe be the vibe. But like in terms of um like rap music and how, what am I trying to say? I guess just
I mean,
vulgar, it already the nature of it is, right? It's
yeah,
not like, even in like the country music genre, for example, even where there are a lot of males, and now like more females, and or everything's becoming a little better day by day, right? Like,
right.
it's still like you're never going to hear a country song, for example, that's like going to be talking about, the country male singer is going to be talking about his penis. It's just not the vibe. It's not the nature. It's just not the culture of like country music as we know it in
Yeah,
society. There is something so powerful and hot, and I think very like misunderstood in a lot of our perspective and point of views of like a female rapper um being vulgar in the same manner, if that
yeah.
makes sense. I do
No,
not know
to
if I'm articulating myself right.
I feel like, yeah, let her be vulgar. I feel like Aquarius Leo, also low key vulgar. I know so many Aquarians that they seem like shy and demure and whatever, but like I yeah, a lot of my favorite drag queens, I like to do shocking shit. I mean, yeah.
Right, like,
Aquarius is rebellious, and Leo too is like not
right,
afraid to it's fun.
right. And
It's
I
all just
do,
playful.
right. And listen, I say all this as a fucking fan. But I do, it was like kind of precious to watch Megan talk about this, because she was like, yeah, I think my mom would be disappointed that that is like what my material became. But
Right.
Megan, all that to say, like, Megan was coming from a place of like, but that is sort of like my truth and my honesty and what I have
Yeah.
like fun with and what makes me feel the most powerful, which you like, again, is it's an attitude and it's a vibe. And, there's like meaning behind what
Authenticity.
she's, yes, and meaning behind what she's fucking saying. And like
Totally,
when
totally. And
she's
it
in the booth, she needs that fired upness, like that's
yeah.
the whole nature, is what I'm trying to articulate. I don't know if that made sense with the country
Yeah.
comparison, but like that's, yeah, I just like, she is so respected in her career path. Um yeah, I just, and it, but it's also so sweet for her to be kind of like, yeah, I don't know if my mom would love that. And her mom passed away right before Megan blew up, like right before she got super, super famous. It's that like poetic thing, that like sadly poetic thing. But she's been through some shit. But yes, and she has this like demeanor, like this very like surf like blah 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 like sort of like attitude. But then like she's been through, like, there are some shadows there, and that's also apparent and comes up in a lot of like her deep cuts. And yeah, I just like can't imagine all the fame and success she's experiencing after like just losing her mom not that long
Well,
ago.
and she
Eh,
lost her dad when she was 14 or 15. I was like, I had chills reading her biography earlier today because it's like she didn't meet her dad until she was 8 years old, which is like the first Saturn square. Then he passed away at the Saturn opposition when she was 14. And then her mom passed away, I think, at the Saturn return that she's still experiencing now. Or maybe I could be wrong about that last one. But like, yeah, so much. And not to say that, like, not to make it grim or say it's like faded or anything like that, but it's interesting. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, and then to bust out a hit like WAP with
Yeah.
an also one of the other most like successful female rappers in the game currently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then to like, you know, a lot of her deep cuts, she like talks about. I think she does like have a line of like, basically, I'm not gonna attempt to do the line, but like basically the whole messaging is like, y'all really don't understand the dark shit I've been through. Like this is nothing. Like the bullshit I receive from like the fame and like the hate I get from
Yeah.
this is like nothing compared to my demons, essentially. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, damn, like, you know, and I love that that is, I think, in her very Aquarius way, like Megan really owns like um just like the hot girl like diva persona, but then like the balance and the grit of also like what it takes to be a fucking successful rapper today
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
or just in general. And I have so much respect for her. She is such a talent and it really
Mm-hmm.
shines. It like
Mm-hmm.
all of her signs are present there. Also, before I circle back more to her chart or before we dive more into the actual substances of the chart, Heather, I have to also point out, speaking of WAP and Cardi B, Megan recently, as of like this past weekend, um, like just released a diss track. This has been like the talk of the town. She released the diss track called Hiss, and there's a line in there that fans were able to sniff out and figure that, or like figure, basically the rumor is that it's about Nicki Minaj. And then basically that rumor was confirmed because Nicki Minaj released a diss track like right after Megan did. Um, Fans are taking sides, and I do have to say, as a fan of both Nicki and Megan, I personally have to side with Megan on this one. It was a just superior rap, a superior diss track, if you will. And no one really knows for sure where the feud got started, but I was doing my little research, and again, rumors. The rumor is because Megan and Nikki did Hot Girl Summer in the year of 2019. Then, but right before that, in 2017, Nikki and Cardi B had their beef. They had like a tizzy. Nikki and Cardi B were both on a song. There was some drama with that behind the scenes. And then at like an event, a shoe got thrown. Um, People reported. And
Oh.
even Nicki Minaj like comments on that and was like, I'm just so like embarrassed that that like happened and that we were there to represent blah blah blah. And that's how like we looked. And so that was like beef that happened in 2017. Then 2019, Nicki and Megan do Hot Girl Summer. But then in 2020, Megan and Cardi do WAP, which was a mega, it was like the song of the year. It was huge. The video was huge. The viral split dance on TikTok was huge. Yeah, like it was just like a mega hit. So now the rumor is that that's sort of when the feud where Nikki started having issues possibly with Megan. Um but then nothing's really been, I guess maybe, but you know, trouble's just maybe been a brewing. And yeah, here Megan releases a song that's kind of jabbing at Nikki. Fans, it's not like blatantly obvious, but you do a little
Mm-hmm.
digging and people are like, oh, here's the where that connects. Yeah. And then unfortunately the overall consensus by the people is that Nikki's follow-up diss track not nearly as good. I don't know how else to. I haven't fully listened to either. That's not true. I did listen to Hiss by Megan Thee Stallion. I didn't fully listen to Nicki's.
Nikki doesn't have that Taurus rising taste, you know, that attention equality. No, I'm reaching. But
Oh my god,
I
that made me
love
choke, Heather. That was
the
so
word
funny.
I love the word hiss as a title. I think that
Right.
works really well. Um yeah,
Um,
wow.
just anyway, so
I
that's
feel
like been
like
recent, and I do feel like I love like Aquarians in general. Like you said, I loved what you said about like how you'll know some of the most docile, like shy seeming Aquarians, but then will like make the raunchiest like sex joke or something,
Yes, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that is like what I think I love about the Aquarian sign. And as you know, Heather, I grew up with a best friend who's still one of my best friends till this day. Um, and she's an Aquarius, and that's always like I think on the outside, people were like, how the hell do Katie and Miranda get along? Like, they're so different. Miranda can't shut the fuck up. And she's like loud and blah, blah, blah. But then, like, Katie's this like quiet little shy one. And I'm like, that's because y'all don't see this bitch behind closed doors like I do. When an Aquarius is comfortable. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
clear to me that Megan is like comfortable in her booth, if that makes sense. Like, she's
Yeah.
comfortable being honest and bringing that authenticity to her music and her art and expressing herself that way. It's like that. It's like her music is her behind the closed doors, even though, it's a weird thing because it's like that's what's being shared with the world. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. She's so Aquarius to me.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and she seems like just a peaceful, warm person, like, from interviews I've watched. I do. Like, even if she's, like, feuding, I don't know. She gives off this, like, humanitarian quality.
Right. There's a down to earth presence
Yeah,
there
down to earth. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
while also owning
Star
like,
power and, like,
yeah,
yeah, like, I'll be
diva in a
watching
good
Leo
way.
Moon. Mhm, mhm.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. Because like we love our divas. Don't get me wrong. But like Madonna is someone for an example, like a diva that I'm like, that's like a like a bitchy diva.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so funny. Jake and I were watching an interview. I don't want to tangent, but Jake and I were watching an interview with Madonna and Courtney Love last night, and Madonna was such a bitch. Like,
It's kind of her thing.
oh,
Right. Like that's what I
it was
mean. Like
such
it's
a
a
turn
part of
off.
her. Yeah. I think it's a part
No,
of
I'm
her
like,
like
you're a
diva
Leo. Oh,
persona.
whatever.
Yeah. Whereas like Megan to me is like a funny,
Yeah.
cool hot diva. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
not diva in the bitchy. I think diva can have
No.
a negative connotation.
Yeah.
She's like a
No. She
cutie
just
sweetie
seems
diva.
playful and fun,
Right.
and like she's having fun. Yeah.
Right. But again, is her fan first. Oh, and this was I was last thing I'll say, Heather, sorry. And then I know we need to get to the chart a little more in depth. But I was when she was, her only fan and just putting herself online and out there before any recognition or signing or anything like that, and just making her own music and making her own music videos. She had there's like a video she was doing with a couple of her girlfriends, and she was like all about it, and like it was all choreographed and planned, and she was like, there on time and went to pick them up to like actually film it and get it done, and like was treating it really like a job, even though none of them were getting paid. And she's like, and one of my girlfriends that ended up not in the video because she was asleep. She took it like she wasn't taking it seriously and like took a nap. So it just ended up being me and this friend.
Ah.
And like I think, that work ethic and that like
Uh,
being her fan first, that star power and really like she respects herself and takes herself seriously.
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of all she needs. That's huge.
Yeah, it is. It is. I want some of that. That Leo
Hey,
moon. That's
we
awesome.
a little Megan, please.
Yeah.
And with that, Heather, sorry. I know we need to take a look deeper into this chart.
Yeah, it's there's definitely, so she's, yeah, Aquarius sun, Leo moon, Taurus rising. Aquarius sun is in the 10th house of career. Also they say, so in her moon's in the 4th house. Is it, or is it in the 5th? Wait, actually. Oh, it's in the 5th. Never mind. But it's right near the IC. Either way, it's opposite the sun. So, the father and mother, I think, have a major impact on her. And I know that she like worships her mom and obviously like got this sort of talent inheritance from the fact that her mom was a rapper. But yeah, then there's a lot of ninth house stuff. with Venus, Neptune, and Uranus, which is also next to her midheaven, the career point. And the ninth house, they say, is the house of higher education. And if you have like a heavy ninth house, like you're gonna go to college. So like I love that that was like important to her to like get her degree. And that was the time in her life when she like really took herself seriously as a rapper.
Hmm.
And because she like could have done it in high school, but I guess she I don't know, something about the college period of her life, like, inspired her to really pursue it. Um, and yeah, Mercury, the planet of communication, right next to the midheaven, which is like the career point, is super powerful when it comes to being a rapper. There's also a lot of Aquarian rappers. Like I'd say the majority of rappers are air signs, which is like there's something playful about air energy, but also
Mm.
communicative and like you have to express in some form. So it makes perfect sense to me. Um, but yeah, the Aquarius sun opposite the Leo moon, that's like creativity to the nth degree, um, authenticity, playful, bold. And Mars is there too, which adds another punch. It makes sense that she's wants to do vulgar stuff. It's in the chart.
Yeah. Yeah. She's hot.
Yeah, can you blame? I mean, come
Can you blame her
on.
for having a lot of sex and then rapping about those experiences?
I love it.
Yeah, and I do. She's talked about this too, that because she's from Houston, like Beyonce, and
Oh, right.
I think this was something that like Megan said about herself, that she always kind of wanted to be like the um like, because she also, while she raps and is a very talented rapper, if you've ever watched Megan the Stallion perform, like she's an incredible dancer, and it's always like a choreographed like masterpiece. It's very, and there's always background dancers. Um and it's just very, it feels very Beyonce inspired in like her fits, like the costuming, and
Mm.
and then also the choreography, um
Yeah, I was
the
watching a little bit of
female
a
forward
video today.
positivity.
Yeah, totally. It was so like artistic. I was like, whoa, there were like naked bodies on top of each other, but then it zoomed out and it was like they were like forming a formation of like a brain and then they were like in her brain and it was trippy. I was like, this is yeah,
She
very
talks about this
Aquarius Leo.
too. Yes, what I also she talks about, I know there's a moment where she raps about being an Aquarius for sure, if not at least once, if not more than once.
Hmm.
So like, she's tapped in, and
Yeah,
she's into her own Aquariusness, which is hot and fun and
love
cool.
it. Yeah.
Right. And I love that she's like bringing that into her hits. Um, so did Nikki. So did Nikki. Nikki raps about being a Sagittarius.
Yeah.
I just love anyone who's mentioning astrology in their art.
Oh my God, obsessed.
Like I love anyone bringing in awareness to it.
Yeah.
But she's she talks about how like being weird, like and like owning it, and like her interests being like, um
I love that.
yeah, like that's
Yeah,
like
like
a part of her, kind of like her, she's very into that, with,
personality. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And I love that. And it's like, that she has like this, she's so playful and has just like this playful, quirky, like goofy side.
Hmm.
um yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
Sh Paris Hilton's also an Aquarius sun, Leo moon, and there's this like, I'm weird, but I'm hot.
Yeah,
and
and both
and
are
I'm very
okay.
myself and yeah, and I can be vulgar sometimes, but then I'll cover my room with Hello Kitty. Like it's
Right, like, and I'll carry myself as like,
yeah.
but I love
I'm
Megan's
a girl's girl. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. And
totally.
like I love that. I think a lot of people can also like relate. This isn't a fucking 80s movie. We're allowed to be multitudes of things. And I think
Oh,
Aquarius really revels in that, because again,
yes.
Aquarius is so in tune with like community. It's
Hmm.
like that's the whole thing, is that in order to be one, you have to be understanding, empathetic, and open to what makes everyone an individual as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
And that was always something growing up with a best friend who was an Aquarius. Sorry, Heather. I know we need to
No,
move
I
on to the
love
movement,
this. No, no,
but
no.
like I loved growing up. I'm so grateful that I grew up with a Aquarius bestie because that is something that I loved about Katie. Shouts out to Katie. Her birthday's coming up.
Aw.
Um, and I know she's listening or she'll be in trouble. Um, but like growing up with her, just she didn't have a type in terms of like friendship. Katie was someone who was always very like well-rounded, and it was just like an energy thing for her. Like if she got along with someone, that was it. And in
Yeah.
terms of like sort of our social status growing up, and like especially like in high school when the societal norms come into play a little more, like for all intents and purposes, I was like a little weirdo drama kid, like nerdy sort of just yeah, like straight edge, and Katie was a little hottie batati little baddie. Um, but it was not a baddie, but I meant more of like a little baddie.
Right. Yeah. No, I get
She's
what you mean.
she's a good kid. She got out alive. She got out alive. Um, but yeah, like, and we still remain best friends. Like that was never like an issue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying.
And she taught me a lot about just like yeah, and embracing multiple energies, and really I feel like Aquarius really allows someone else to be themselves. Like Katie
Oh,
never once tried to like really restrain me, or like even though we're so different, that's like the beauty. And I feel like she's always understood that that's the beauty, in a way of like appreciating it, not like trying to suppress it to make it more like you, right?
yeah,
um
no. Aquarius worships someone just being unique in themselves.
Authenticity,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it's like if you allow me the space, I think Aquarius is such an energy of like, especially if you allow
Them
Aquarius
to
to experience.
be
Right, right.
weird and yeah.
I love this time. I really do.
I so do. And it's Jake's birthday. Shout out to lovely
Shouts out.
Aquarius, Jake Hammond.
Uh,
I fucking love Aquarius. What can I
we
say?
love. Shouts out to yes, Katie Greenlee. We got a birthday coming up. Also, my cousin Joy.
Mm.
Joy Young now. She's married. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful time, Heather. You're on the way as well, don't you worry.
I am, for better or
But yeah,
worse.
I'm surrounded by Aquarians. I love
Aquarius
it.
and Pisces love each other.
Yeah. I think because Pisces is also has that energy of like the empathy and understanding of needing someone to like of just like the flow, right? That's I think there's such
Totally.
a
And the broad scope thing, but also I think fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Um oh, both signs like don't they both hate superficial or small talk. I think
mm,
both like Aquarius, even though it's air, I think really feels uncomfortable with like small talk and keeping things like pleasantries.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I think Pisces is like that too.
Getting to a relaxed place and having the one-on-one shooting of the shit. Ooh, that's
Yeah,
the sweet
yeah,
spot, baby.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Oh, I love it. I love this time of year.
I do
Heather,
too. And like, what a year it is. February is exciting.
she's
Um,
stacked.
I feel like February, even early February, is like when we're really going to feel the Pluto in Aquarius because, like,
Right.
obviously Pluto moved into Aquarius a few weeks ago. So we've been feeling a collective shift, perhaps, but it's going to be even more prominent as, like, so, the sun moved into Aquarius and the sun had to meet Pluto, like pass over Pluto as it entered Aquarius. And
Right.
the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, never travel too far from the sun. So now in February, we're getting each of these personal planets that are gonna like hit Pluto, enter Aquarius, hit Pluto at the first degree, enter Aquarius, hit Pluto. So it's the astrologers are saying that uh yeah, as each of these personal planets interacts with Pluto before entering Aquarius, it might reveal something about the collective shift that we're all undergoing. And yeah, with Pluto and Aquarius, I think that we could experience some unearthing of secrets with authority that bring us back to humanity. And anyway, I don't want to get too broad scope and Aquarian about it, but
But you
it's an
can't help it.
exciting time. It's an exciting time. Yeah. So on February 5th, which is Friday, Mercury enters Aquarius, which is a very stimulating placement for the brain. Mercury loves to be in Aquarius. Megan Thee Stallion's Mercury is in Aquarius. So, you know, it's great for communication, great for expressing creativity and
Or letting a bitch know when she's pissed you off.
yeah, hell yeah. Um, and then February 7th, Venus trines Uranus, which is very nice. Um, yeah, innovative ways to handle money, to handle love. And then on February 8th, the Sun in Aquarius squares Uranus and Taurus. And there's like a shift because Uranus is about change. And yeah. Then we have the new moon in Aquarius on February 9th, which we'll discuss more next episode because that's next Friday. But that's the one that marks the Lunar New Year, right? The
Ah, yes,
Aquarius
yes,
new moon.
yes.
So that's next week. Um so
Mm.
yeah, I feel like we're starting February off with a bang. There's heightened energies and March and April are supposed to be very intense also. And I think it's exciting though. It's we're really like feeling, I think, the age of Aquarius as we move into this
And
month
we're
and this
like,
year.
there's like a ready energy, a welcoming energy
Yeah, I
for
think
this
we're ready for
transition.
change. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I'm feeling it.
There's a staleness in the air. And I just do feel like there's an awakening energy. And I know that we
Yeah,
sound like broken records when we say
I
that, but it
know.
really is like, again, we're power of nowing it, right? Like
Yes.
we're really in it now, baby. We're really
Yes.
present in this Aquarius time, especially now with the sun in it. But so it, of course, it would feel extra, extra energetically charged. But yeah,
Yeah, but
what
we
a
still have a
time.
lot of these personal plans in Capricorn. So after this
Um,
week, when more of them enter Aquarius, it's gonna feel
we'll
even
really feel
more
that shift.
Aquarian fueled. Yeah.
Oh, God bless. Love this time. Love you, Heather.
Love you so much.
Love you, listeners. We
Mhm.
love you, Team Megan.
Team Megan.
Infinite abundance.
Infinite
The
abundance.
year of the dragon and replenishing bitch. Love and light.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love you.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.